Hey everyone, so today we're going to be checking out some of the major changes that I've made in the cottage garden this early spring. I've been working really hard on trying to transform the garden even more before we really get into summer and things start to grow. So I'm going to be taking you on a little tour around the garden and going over 3 distinct things that I have made major changes to and new additions. Hopefully this can inspire you on your gardening journey. Let's check it out. So why don't I start off with the biggest that we can't really do this walkthrough without showing. And that is, of course, the new Corten garden edging, which goes around all of the different pathways and the lawn area in my garden. So yeah, this is definitely a big change. I actually didn't do this myself. I hired someone to come and do it just because I really wanted it done perfectly, and there were so many intricate lines and curves and such. So this is one of those rare gardening jobs where I opted not to do it, which is very rare for me. I usually like to do everything out here, as you can imagine, but this time I relinquished responsibility, and I'm glad I did, because I think this has come out really, really nicely. By the way, if you love gardening content, please do consider subscribing. We're currently trying to hit 4,000 subscribers, and I'd absolutely love to have you here. So not only does this keep the gravel in even more, of course, but it just makes everything so much neater. Now, obviously, I do have a cottage garden, so I'm not looking for sort of perfectly neat. That's not really what I'm trying to achieve here. But the gravel that you see along these winding pathways did become a really big problem. And unfortunately, it made it so that these flower beds would be absolutely filled with it. I mean, you can kind of see that now if you look. I haven't really gone and kind of gotten rid of a lot of it at this point, which is something I do need to do. So it's still kind of laying in some of the flower beds, which a little bit isn't too bad, to be fair, but it wasn't a very nice look. So it has been my goal to get this done forever and really keep everything nicely contained. It'll also stop dirt and debris from coming into the gravel, which is another huge plus as well. So this is something I absolutely recommend if you have any pathways like this that are just kind of weaving around your garden. Definitely get yourself some steel edging. The pricing wasn't as bad as I thought it would be either, in terms of the actual cost of how much this came to. It was, let me think. In my mind, it was maybe about £300, maybe a bit less. I think it's good to be transparent about the price, that sort of thing. Of course, if you get someone else to do it, then that's going to depend on, you know, their costs and such, so I can't speak on that, obviously. But yeah, the Corten steel edging, which I got from Everedge, not sponsored, although if they want to sponsor me, that would be great. But yeah, I got it from them, and that's typically the biggest one here in the UK, but they might even sell it in America and other places too. I personally prefer the Corten look, the rusted look. I mean, it matches my archway. I'm kind of avoiding this angle over here because I don't really want to get my washing in the video. But what are you going to do? So yeah, it's really, really nice. I love the style of it. I love the look. I think it's going to make the garden, you know, the structure of the garden feel a lot more permanent as well, rather than the pathways feeling like they've kind of just been added on top, which they pretty much were. So yeah, it's really, really nice. Also, another thing, to keep that sort of cottage vibe, I guess, if that's the word we want to use, a lot of these plants, in fact, the majority of them are really going to spill over the edges. I mean, you can even see it starting to happen now with the Nepetas. So I'm not really concerned about, you know, it not looking natural. I know some people worry about that when it comes to having edging and stuff. That's why I didn't have stone, actually, because originally, a few years ago, I tried to do it myself with these big sort of rocks and stones. Well, I say big, they weren't actually that big. And it just looked a bit silly in my garden. I think because of how windy they are, it didn't really work for me. Whereas in other gardens, it tends to look really fantastic. But this steel edging, on the other hand, is pretty much perfect. You know, I don't think I could have really gotten anything better than this. So very, very pleased. Now, the next change is one that's kind of hard to show off, but I'm going to give lots of examples of it around the garden. And that is moving around plants for better spacing. Now, again, in a cottage garden, you do generally want a bit of chaos. You don't want everything to be too organized, and you want a good variety of different plants, and that hasn't changed in my garden. However, something that has changed is the actual places of where I planted a lot of these things. So previously, because I didn't really know what I was doing, I mostly just planted things pretty much based on their height, and that's pretty much it. I didn't really worry too much about having things in groups or clusters or anything like that. And what that resulted in last year was perfect chaos. I mean, it looked absolutely beautifully chaotic, but unfortunately, a lot of the plants were drowned out, and it was really hard to see specific ones and kind of enjoy and appreciate them. So what I have been doing, especially in this big flower bed here, which is why I'm kind of showing it off, is digging up plants this early spring. It's a great time of the year to do it, and moving them into bigger clusters. So let me give you an example. Here around this sundial, which is actually moved from sort of here all the way to the middle of the bed, I have maybe about 5 echinacea. And this is, I've seen people call it the 3/5 rule, but you can go even higher. Basically, you want to plant your plants in odd numbers. This doesn't have to apply to everything in your garden, and it certainly doesn't in mine, but for things that you really want to show off, having them in odd numbers is a great idea. So for example, we've got about 5 echinops here. I think I called them echinacea. Echinops. We've got 5 echinops, the globe thistle. And now they're going to stand out a lot more than, say, having, you know, one here, one over here, one back there. Instead of them getting lost, they'll make a big feature here. And that doesn't mean any other plants will now not get to feature. It just means that these guys will get to feature a lot more. The same with my perennial grasses. And this was actually a big problem this year, because a lot of these perennial grasses can be quite thin and tall. Honestly, I found in my garden, they looked very, very silly when they were just standing on their own. You know, there was no sort of reason or rhyme to it. They just kind of looked odd. So this time what I have done is I have planted them in groups of 3, because these ones are actually quite big, and the flower bed isn't as big as maybe it looks on the video. And, you know, I'm going to be doing a group of 5 over there. I want to have big groups of these together so that they really make a statement. And that's something that I'm very excited for this year. I think that's going to be so, so important, especially in this flower bed, which is kind of my pride and joy. It was the most impressive one last year. Not so much the case in the others. I mean, this one here is very much just a random mix of different cottagey sort of plants. Although I do have a few other changes that I will briefly go over that I don't know if I've mentioned in the video or not. And that's that I have planted a lot more sort of shrubs and stuff, which will bring us on to our last point shortly. So there's a good mixture of things in most of these borders. I mean, especially over here. And I mean, this one definitely has the 3/5 rule, if that's what you want to call it, quite a lot. But again, it's not something I'm dead set on. Like, for example, I've got a GM Totally Tangerine there completely by itself. And that works because it'll grow quite big and it'll mix in and make nice combinations with other plants. So it doesn't really need to be in a big cluster. But then here I've got 3 Phalictrum together. And the reason why that is because it's quite thin and dainty. So on their own, they don't really stand out. But in a group, it looks like one nice sort of big plant in a way. So there's definitely rules and exceptions to this. You don't have to follow it this way. You don't even have to follow it at all. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how the planting looks this year now that I've made these changes, because I know it sounds like a small thing, but I think it'll make an actual big difference in terms of how visible a lot of my plants are. Because let's say I looked at a photograph of my garden from last year. I could pick out a few of my favorite plants, sure, but I think most people would kind of not really be able to do that because they got so lost in the chaos. So this year, I'm glad that the planting schemes have improved. Now, this is the final sort of major change I've done in the garden. So first of all, my buddleia was in that corner, which I'm not going to scroll over to because I don't want to ruin the surprise, even though I think I've kind of ruined it. But basically, the buddleia has moved here. This is a nice white sort of buddleia. It's a bit unusual compared to the purple ones. It's really, really pretty. So this one is now over here. Yes, it is looking very sulky because it moved and they get like that. But buddleias are almost like weeds. They can't be killed. So it'll be fine. It'll live, you know. And then in the corner, da, 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 keep going, keep going, keep going. There we go. So I have planted myself a beautiful silver birch tree. So this is right in the corner of the garden, because obviously with a tree, you don't really want it getting in the way of everything. So I thought as far in the corner as possible will be nice. It is, of course, a deciduous tree with this beautiful sort of white bark on it. It'll come up with sort of some nice spring interest, these sort of catkins, and then it'll kind of go green for most of the year. Autumn, it'll sort of go yellowy color, and then it'll look like this in winter. And apparently these are really good for winter interest, something that I lacked. So why did I decide to get a big tree? Because this is actually really big. It's probably about to the height of my upstairs windows. Well, the simple reason is my garden, when I first got it, it was just grass. I mean, again, I'm going to try and avoid the washing, but it was just a lawn. That was all there was. There were no established plants here at all, aside from this hedge, which is a lifesaver. I love this hedge. It's great to have a plant like that. So that was really disappointing. I wanted to have a garden that felt a bit more mature, and obviously that's not something that happens overnight, but if you don't get started, then it's never going to feel like that. So it's been my goal to add in more established plants, more grown things like this. And a tree is something I've always really wanted because, you know, it makes a nice home for wildlife, for birds, all that sort of thing. It's definitely a great addition to the garden. And I felt like this was the perfect one. So this particular variety of silver birch is one that grows sort of not too crazy. It doesn't grow insanely big compared to some other trees. It also stays kind of thinner and taller rather than bushing out. Because as you can imagine, a lot of trees you'd plant here would like kind of almost shade my whole garden pretty much. But like my cypress trees that I've got and my prunus flagpole cherry tree, this one is the same sort of vibe. You know, it's not gonna block the nice view behind us, which is good. It'll stay, you know, mostly sort of thin. And I've heard that you can get these pruned as well. I'd probably get a professional to do that because in the height of it, I can't even get up there. But yeah, maybe when it grows, you know, bigger, if I don't like where certain things are going, you can get it pruned quite easily as well to keep it under control. So yeah, I think this is a really good investment for the garden. Definitely an important one that I'm glad I've added in. I think it's going to make a massive difference, and I can't wait to see how it grows over time as well. Well, thank you so much for checking out this little video where I go over some of the transformations. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and more importantly, let me know what you're doing in your garden this spring. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon for another gardening video.